Welcome to the PreSnap Podcast presented by LineStar. All things fantasy football with a sprinkle of sports betting. Alongside Tyler Weeman, I'm Shannon Somerville, getting you set for Week 15's main slate in the NFL. We'll have your daily fantasy projections plus touchdown calls, prop bets, and our game picks, our upset picks of the week. Now, this week, not a lot to choose from in terms of those underdog picks, but we've got a couple sneaky ones for you that you got to stay tuned for.
Still the NFL, though. So
it is still the NFL.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen, especially over the next few weeks when a lot of teams are going to be fighting for a spot in the playoffs. Buckle up. It's about to get wild. It's also going to get wild in daily fantasy and in season-long fantasy as well as people get set for their playoffs in the season-long. Congrats if you're still playing meaningful fantasy football, unlike me who got knocked out. Oh, well, better luck next year, guys. Tyler's still going strong in the LineStar League.
Sure am.
So got to hold it down for the podcast, Tyler. Pressure's on. So let's get to our daily fantasy projections for Week 15 in the NFL. We'll start off with our quarterbacks. The first quarterback we are looking at is Justin Herbert. 268 passing yards per game in the NFL. That ranks second. And he had 367 passing yards against the Miami Dolphins, which goes to show you when his weapons are back, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen as wide receivers, both healthy and in the lineup. Wow, the ceiling is very high on that offense there with the Chargers. And a favorable matchup for them this week as they go up against the Tennessee Titans, who have a great rushing defense. However, their passing defense is less than to be desired. 28th in pass defense DVOA. Tyler, how do you view Justin Herbert for daily fantasy?
Yeah, I mean, the Tennessee defense is literally the definition of a pass funnel defense. They're ranked 31st, allowing 304 yards a game. They're allowing 1.7 passing touchdowns a game. They rank 32nd, allowing 42 pass attempts over the last 9. Meanwhile, over the last games, with his weapons back, Herbert averaging almost 44 pass attempts and 314 yards. I really like how this game sets up for Herbert, especially because Tennessee can kind of sneakily score points and really get some big plays to stay into the game. Yeah. And if that happens, the sky's the limit for this game.
And the Titans are never out of it with Derrick Henry.
It's true. I mean, he busts a 50-yard run whenever he wants, it seems like.
Justin Herbert's been absolutely phenomenal, though. There was some criticism earlier in the season from some media pundits saying he was a quote-unquote social media quarterback because he has these great plays once in a while. But in that game against the Miami Dolphins, man, he really showed why he is one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now.
I mean, he was good without weapons. He wasn't putting up the big fantasy games, but he was keeping his team in it.
Right.
And still doing decently. And now he's got everybody back. It's time to shine.
He passed Andrew Luck for the most passing yards for a player in their first 3 seasons.
Nice.
Historical season, I guess, for Mr. Justin Herbert. Let's move on to our next quarterback, and we're talking about Jalen Hurts, the MVP favorite. Move over, Patrick Mahomes. There is a new leader
wild, too.
Atop the sportsbooks betting odds there. It's wild.
Mahomes had a good week.
He did have 3 interceptions, and they barely got by against the Denver Broncos, which is why he probably took a hit in that category.
Absolutely.
There's still obviously an argument to be made for Patrick Mahomes and his incredible season. However, Jalen Hurts has been putting up some pretty awesome numbers as well. He put up the Hurts on the Giants in Week 14. 2 touchdowns, which was his 11th game with multiple touchdowns. That's highest for the most in the NFL. And he's the first quarterback in NFL history to have double-digit rushing touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. Leads the NFL too in passer rating. And this year what we're seeing with Jalen Hurts is he's really improved his passing game. And now that teams have to defend against the pass too, it creates these wide open lanes for Jalen Hurts to just take it himself. What do you think about his odds this week?
I really like Hurts this week. I think it is interesting. One of the issues with Hurts in fantasy this year has been he has such big first halves. Eagles get to a huge league and then they kind of coast. They're one of the most aggressive teams in the first half and then one of the most conservatives in the second because of these large leads. Now, the Bears' offense has been good lately. With Hurts at quarterback since week 7, they're averaging like 28 points a game. If the Bears can keep into this game, there's a chance that Ertz doesn't take his foot off the gas. And so if that happens, we could see a ceiling game here.
Okay. This is an interesting matchup here with these two quarterbacks, and exciting to see them go up against each other. A lot of people saying before the season started that Justin Fields looks a lot like Jalen Hurts in his second season.
It's true, too. And one of the things that we need to talk about, too, is the fact that to really have a blow-up game for the NFL or for fantasy, you need to have big plays. Both of these quarterbacks can make them. And so with that, I think even though the game total isn't super high, this game could be one of those ones.
All right, so some good quarterback options there. Let's move on to running back. And you'll notice a theme here as we are really high on the Chargers in this one, including Austin Eckler. The running back for the Chargers is averaging 97 yards from scrimmage, 13 touchdowns on the year, and he leads the team in targets. The ultimate Swiss Army knife of the NFL, can absolutely get it done from anywhere on the field, on pace to break the all-time position record for receptions by a running back, which is wild. Going up against the Tennessee Titans, they're stout against the run. However, he can get you with the pass. What do you make of this matchup?
And that's exactly why we're going this way, is it's not because of the run. I think the Chargers are going to struggle on the ground versus Tennessee. However, through the air, he can get it done. He's averaging 8.7 targets, 7 receptions a game. So it's a really nice floor there. But then Tennessee has been weak to running back receptions. They're allowing 6.3 receptions a game, which is second most outside of KC, who's averaging 6.8. So I think the Chargers can absolutely go after Eckler in the passing game. And, we could easily see a 10 target, 60 to 70 yards receiving and a touchdown or something like that.
In fact, Tennessee's allowed 80 receptions to the running backs. That is second most in the NFL this season. So a great way to exploit that stat right there is to take Austin Eckler. Another running back to exploit this week is Alvin Kamara, who's averaging 56.6 total yards over the last 5 weeks. He's been a bit of a disappointment in fantasy football. However, he is in a good spot this week going up against the Atlanta Falcons, a team that in the past he's absolutely torched. In fact, last season he had over 100 total yards in each one of those games. And going up against the Atlanta Falcons defense that ranks 28th in rush defense DVOA, what do you make of this spot?
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons are giving up 25 DraftKings points a game to the running back. There's no Mark Ingram, so possibly extra workload for Kamara. And simply put, is just lately it's been play your running backs versus Atlanta.
Yeah.
I mean, even Najee Harris, who hasn't had a good year, had 86 yards rushing against them last game. So I really like Kamara this game. I don't think the field is really going to be going there.
Right.
They're also coming off a bye, so they need a week to get healthy and get it back going to Kamara's way. That's how they win games, is going through him.
And some of the coaches even have talked in the media recently about how they are trying to get him more involved in the offense, they have to. And Falcons have allowed a running back at least 18 PPR points in 6 of the last 7 games. With Mark Ingram out, the opportunity is there. It's just a matter of if the Saints are going to realize what a weapon they have and give it to Kamara in this one. Next up, Chiefs running back Isaiah Pacheco, averaging 90 total yards over the last 5 games, 70 rushing, 23 receiving yards against Denver. He's having himself quite the season and is really emerging also as a pass-catching back as well. He runs tough, he runs angry, and going up against the Houston Texans, who rank 27th in rush defense DVOA. What do you anticipate for Pacheco in this one?
One thing is I think KC really likes this guy. They have been giving him a lot of carries lately, and he's made the best of them. And Houston's ranked 32nd, allowing 141 yards to the running back, rushing yards, that is. And they're allowing 1.2 touchdowns per game to the running back. So KC's big favorites. They do like to run when they have a big lead and to close out a game. So I could see them using Pacheco a lot in the second half, and 100 yards and a touchdown or two is absolutely possible this week.
Next up, let's go to our wide receivers and to the city of brotherly love and A.J. Brown. Downtown A.J. Brown is averaging 78 receiving yards per game. He can absolutely pop off, though, for over 150. He has 4 touchdowns over the past 3 weeks, too. This guy's big, fast, physical, great route runner, and he's got that chemistry with Jalen Hurts. The two are best friends. In fact, Jalen Hurts is A.J. Brown's daughter's godfather, which is kind of a nice... That's awfully nice. Isn't that awfully cute?
Nice. It is cute.
Well, what's not cute for opposing defenses is trying to defend him. And the Chicago Bears rank 31st in pass defense DVOA. What do you make of A.J. Brown's spot this week?
Yeah, and they're allowing 1.1 touchdowns to the receiver, which is 25th in the league. But WR1s have just been burning the Bears. Garrett Wilson, 26.4 points. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 25.1. Tyreek, 30.3. CeeDee Lamb, 18.8. See a little pattern there is good WR1s have crushed them, and I think we're going to see that again this week.
Another wide receiver who's primed to crush it. Yet another Chargers player, Keenan Allen, who last week had 12 of 14 targets, 92 receiving yards against Miami. When he is back, when he is healthy, he is an absolute threat. He's physical, athletic. He's got a catch radius like a Madden glitch. You saw it in that game against Miami. I'm thinking of this one in particular. It was 3rd down, and Justin Herbert absolutely threaded the needle like a surgeon right to Keenan Allen, who made a great grab on the sideline, and they just pointed at each other, and that's kind of what we're expecting in this matchup going up against the Tennessee Titans, who ranked 28th in pass defense DVOA. What do you think for Keenan Allen this week? Another breakout?
I think he's in line for a really good game. He has 28 targets over the last 2 weeks. Herbert's been looking at him often. It's a pass funnel D. I think he can get there again with those targets. And Tennessee's ranked 30th, allowing almost 190 yards to the receiver, 1.3 touchdowns. So I think Keenan's in a really good spot to do well.
Another sneaky play here for daily fantasy is Patriots wide receiver Jacoby Myers, who's averaging 59 receiving yards per game. He had been out with a concussion. The reason we like this one, I'm assuming, Tyler, is the fact that they're playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who rank dead last in pass defense DVOA. Week in and week out, we've been picking players that are facing the Las Vegas Raiders pass defense. What do you anticipate for Jacoby Myers this week?
One of the things is it is the worst pass team. So
exactly that.
That's why we're going here. The one thing I will have to say is that earlier in the day, I saw a notification that he was practicing in limited capacity. Right before we filmed, I got another one saying that he did not practice. Being that he was out last week with a concussion, got it the week before, it is concerning. So make sure you keep watching that, because if he doesn't play, obviously you don't want to play him. But if he doesn't play, I think you could pivot to Nelson Aguilar or Bourne. But Myers is super cheap. There's a clear path to 10-plus targets. Devontae Parker still has not practiced this week. He was out with a concussion last week. And Ramondre Stevenson may not play. So there's a lot of pieces in this game that might not play. Patriots, they like Myers. He is the wide receiver 1. And if these guys all aren't playing, he's probably going to get peppered with targets. So same goes if he's out, then it's going to go to Aguilar or Bourne. Both are very capable. Aguilar had 10 targets last week. So.
Some sneaky plays there for the Patriots that otherwise on offense kind of makes you want to vomit with how conservative they play.
Absolutely. But without Stevenson, they may have to pass more also. And we know the Raiders are going to put up points. They can put up points in bunches. So I think attacking this Patriots pass game might be kind of sneaky.
So some great plays there for wide receivers. So now let's move on to our tight ends. And Cowboys tight end Dalton Schultz, who had a season-high 87 yards against the Denver Broncos. Now the Houston Texans, rather, and they narrowly escaped what is the worst team in the NFL. However, he was a bright spot for that Dallas offense. He's been top 5 in fantasy tight ends 3 of the past 5 games, surprisingly, and going up against a Jacksonville Jaguars defense that's been terrible against the tight end position. In fact, they rank 32nd, dead last against tight ends in pass defense, DVOA. What do you anticipate for Dalton Schultz this week?
Yeah, I like Schultz a lot this week. And over the last 4 weeks, they've been allowing 8 receptions and 94 yards and 1 touchdown a game to the tight end. So they were already bad versus tight end, and lately they've been even worse. And Dalton Schultz is one of their go-to options in this offense. He's also one of the only tight ends on the board that can really go for 20 plus points outside of Travis Kelce. So I think his price is a little bit too low for what he can do.
Another tight end that's been a slightly hit or miss, though, is Gerald Everett of the Chargers. However, seeing as how the theme of the show has been we're high on a Charger stack for today, he has been inconsistent. So he had 80 yards 2 weeks ago. Then last week against the Dolphins, much quieter. He had 28 yards in that one. And going up against Tennessee, 21st against the tight end in pass defense DVOA. How do you evaluate his value in fantasy?
Yeah, he has been a little hit or miss, and he was kind of a touchdown machine earlier in the season, and he hasn't scored for a little while, so I do think there's some touchdown regression coming there. He should get into the end zone a little bit more in the last few weeks, I think, than he has been. But Tennessee on the season is allowing 66 yards receiving, but over the last 4 weeks, allowed 6 receptions, 81 yards, and 0.5 touchdowns. And once again, Everett in a good matchup is just probably priced a little too low for what he can do and what his upside is.
So bolt up, Chargers.
Bolt up.
Now let's get to our defense. The first defense we are looking at this week is the New York Jets going up against the Detroit Lions in the Meadowlands in this one. This is a Lions team that's the second best team in DVOA over the last 4 weeks. They've been hot. But going up against this Jets defense will be a tall task for them. They held Josh Allen to a season low in passing yards and yards per attempt. Just the 4th time ever that an opponent held Allen to under 150 passing yards on 20-plus attempts. This is a Jets defense that is a championship caliber defense. What do you anticipate for them in their fantasy value?
Yeah, I think the Jets are a little bit sneaky. I don't think people are going to want to click the name when it's going against Detroit. But cold weather, Goff is much worse under pressure, and we know the Jets are going to get pressure, and we have a good pass D, so I think it just doesn't play well for Goff. So
yeah, Goff in cold weather is a narrative that is well known in the league, and in fact, not just in cold weather, but away from Detroit in general.
And that also, yeah.
He has 22 touchdowns on the year. 20 of them have been at home, just 2 on the road. So a big game for Jared Goff to see whether he can put those narratives to rest. And I just think against this New York Jets defense that ranks 6th in DVOA, it's just probably not the defense they're going to do it. Now, the Detroit Lions did get the win against the Giants in Week 11. However, he had 167 passing yards in that game.
And, I mean, Goff does have some weapons back. It is a dangerous offense, but the Jets D is good. They're going to bring pressure, and Goff struggles on the road also. So I like the Jets for this week.
Another defense worth a look is the Denver Broncos, who are going up against the Arizona Cardinals this week. The Denver Broncos defense ranks 5th in DVOA and going up against the Arizona Cardinals, who are on quite the downward spiral. The Broncos are coming off a pretty good game where they forced 3 interceptions of Patrick Mahomes and nearly pulled off the upset. Kyler Murray is out in this one, which is probably one of the biggest factors in terms of a fantasy perspective. What do you make of the Denver Broncos spot for fantasy points?
Yeah, I mean, you nailed it right there. It's turnover prone, Colt McCoy versus a good defense. So I don't really love my odds if I'm the Cardinals there. Not that the Broncos are some amazing team, but we do know they can play defense.
Ugh, how terrible has this season been for the Arizona Cardinals and Cliff Kingsbury?
Or the Denver Broncos.
The Denver Broncos, too, for that matter, although they did look a lot better against the Kansas City Chiefs. And Russell Wilson finally started throwing a little bit. Going to put that who's going to win by the end of the season is
looks
Russell
like
Wilson.
It might be bathrooms.
So explain this scenario that's been kind of circulating throughout social media.
So there's a graph that's been going around as far as how many touchdowns Russell Wilson will throw versus how many bathrooms they have in their new Denver house.
Which is how many? Like 11?
I think it's 12.
12.
And I think after last week, he's like at 11 or something like
okay.
that. So it's not looking good for bathrooms these days. It was a really big week for Russell Wilson.
Okay.
After 2 weeks that were really big for bathrooms.
I always wonder how aware the players are of these things, these ridiculous things that are circulating.
I don't think
him.
Russell Wilson is aware of anything except for himself.
Doing high knees in the airplane.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a meme.
That's your daily fantasy projections for this week in week 15. For more analytics and statistics, make sure to check out linestarapp.com and use our lineup optimizer to help you go win some money in those contests this week. We just had somebody win a lot of money in the basketball, so make sure you sign up.
Yeah.
Got to be in it to win
30K.
All right, now it is time for our touchdown calls of the game for week 15 in the NFL. Tyler, who are you going with for an anytime touchdown in week 15?
I'm going with Kansas City Chief Isaiah Pacheco. KC has a huge game total or implied total. Houston ranks 30th, allowing 1.2 rushing touchdowns per game. I think Pacheco's getting one.
I am going with Jets wide receiver Garrett Wilson for an anytime touchdown. He has 4 touchdowns on the year. He has 7 red zone targets the last 8 weeks, averaging 92 receiving yards over the last 6 games. Smaller wide receiver, 6 feet, 183 pounds. He's got some contested catch ability, timing, his tracking, his hands, all awesome for Mike White, who'll be slinging it his way. He's elusive, versatile, he's a great route runner, and going up against a Detroit defense that ranks 30th in opponent red zone scoring. Gimme Garrett Wilson, GW for TD.
I like it.
Jets this week. I'm looking forward to seeing that offense go up against the Detroit Lions, who they haven't been great on defense. So
does it worry you a little bit that we're a little high on the Jets in today's show?
It always worries me whenever people are high on the Jets as a Jets fan. Okay, now it's time for our prop bets. Tyler, where are you going in the prop market for week 15?
I'm going to good old Keenan Allen over 67.5 receiving yards. He's been over in 3 of 4 since coming back from injury. He has 14 targets per game over the last 2 weeks. It's pass funnel D. Give me all of Keenan.
I'm going to the Detroit Lions Jets game, and I'm going Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff under 252.5 passing yards. Now, Goff is averaging on the road 227 passing yards. Not only does he struggle on the road, he struggles in cold weather. In fact, in 6 games in temperatures between 21 degrees and 40 degrees, his completion percentage drops to just over 50%. Keep in mind his average completion percentage is around 65. Against the Giants in week 11, that was at MetLife Stadium, he had just 165 passing yards. And that Giants defense is not nearly as good as this Jets defense. So what happens in the cold weather, the air gets a lot thicker. It becomes a lot harder to throw the ball. And Jared Goff is already someone who's not great in terms of his arm strength. So I think he struggles in this game. And the Jets, 189 passing yards per game. That's 4th in the NFL in opponent passing yards per game. I really like Jared Goff's under in this situation. What do you make of Jared Goff this week? Will he defy the odds or the stats with cold weather?
I think you're on top of this one.
I'm just looking for you to validate my Jets because I am nervous about this one that has massive playoff
The thing
implications.
is that he struggles versus pressure also. His QB rating drops to 59.4, 30th in the league with pressure. So all of that considered,
yes,
I would be shocked if he goes over.
Crucial factor in this one, if Quinnen Williams is in fact in the game, he's been one of the best players in the NFL in terms of getting pressure to the quarterback.
That is a big one.
That's
Hopefully he's playing.
Let's go to our dogs of the day, week 15. Tyler, what underdog are you backing this week?
I am going with the Patriots. I am very surprised they're only +1. I would have expected a little more. Stevenson's likely out. Jacoby Myers could be out. They could be really limited, but I think the Patriots just way better than the Raiders. Raiders just figure out how to lose games, where the Patriots figure out how to win them.
Yeah, the Raiders has just been such a disappointing team
Yeah.
this year. I'm going to a team that has some upside. The Jacksonville Jaguars +4 against the Cowboys. The Jags have been feisty over the past 4 weeks. They're 3-2 in that span, most recently knocking off the Tennessee Titans at their place. Trevor Lawrence has been playing lights out. He just put up a career-high 368 passing yards against Tennessee. In the last 5 games, a great stat for him is he has 10 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. So he is playing very mistake-free football right now. And going up against the Cowboys, who have been wildly inconsistent this season. Yes, they have the #1 defense in terms of DVOA over this season. However, Trevor Lawrence is just playing really well, and
he is.
And I'm kind of liking the Jags, as disgusting as that sounds at this point in the season.
They are an exciting team. I really like them for next season.
Yeah.
Lawrence taking another step forward. They should have Calvin Ridley and already have a Christian Kirk, so that passing game is going to be fun.
It's really interesting to see Trevor Lawrence's development since last year, and it makes you just really scratch your head about what the heck was going on with Urban Meyer as the head coach of the Jags. Because since then, he's just taken leaps.
Yeah. I don't remember who it was. Somebody on his team was like, yeah, he didn't even really have a rookie year. Just because Urban was that bad.
You know it's bad when the players are starting to come out and just say how awful things were. And the Jags have a playoff spot on the line in this one. They're very much in contention. They're on the fringes, but a win for them would mean a lot. Whereas the Cowboys, they're kind of more settled into their playoff position.
And
so
we've seen the Cowboys be inconsistent.
Exactly.
And
so
Chris Moore just put up like 140 or 50 yards versus them.
If there is a team I don't trust at the end of the season or in the playoffs, it is the Cowboys, who make a lot of self-inflicted mistakes.
I don't think anybody
You can't be doing that against the Jacksonville Jaguars right now. That is a team that is playing really good on offense. So that's where I'm leaning this week. We got a lot of great matchups, though, and I'm excited to see how this playoff picture unfolds. I'm also excited for that Washington Giants game. That should be an interesting one. Yes, I know the last time they faced each other was just a tie. So, I mean, who wants a tie? Yep. But this one should be a lot better, especially since the winner will get 2 games up on the other in the playoff standings. So that's essentially a playoff game, which will be fun. I love this part of the season. This is the best.
Yeah.
Good luck to you if you're still playing in the fantasy playoffs and in your daily fantasy for Week 15 in the NFL. If you have any questions, drop them below. Remember to check out linestarapp.com. And if you're watching this video and you're like, I'm enjoying this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and sign up for those notifications. Good luck this week. We'll see you next time.
Have a good one, guys. Bye.